Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So in this Thirsty Thursday, we're going to go ahead and talk about getting into physical cybersecurity, physical security into cybersecurity. So we're going to bring our guest on. His name is Paul. We'll have him introduce himself, and we'll get this ball rolling. Here you go. The floor is all yours, Paul.
Hey, Pat, thanks for having me. My name is Paul Nieto, currently pen tester at Royal Caribbean. Also previously physical security, workplace services, facilities background. And yeah.
Awesome, dude. So, again, thank you so much for hanging out, coming out tonight and talking about your experience. So pretty much going from like the physical security world, getting into cyber and all that stuff, like what made you come into the cyber world? Like what tickled your fancy to get in here?
So I'm going to be honest and transparent, not disrespectful. I'm just going to get straight to the point. Physical security got boring. Me being from San Jose, the Bay Area, capital of Silicon Valley, those that know, it's pretty much ran a certain way politically. And that just didn't hamper the tech industry, but also physical security, which also impacted law enforcement, right? So pretty much it's like, if law enforcement can't do their job, what's the point of even me being in physical security, right? I'm not going to be there to collect the paycheck. And that's pretty much what I just said, it's an unmeaningful job to me at this point. And again, I'm only speaking for the area that I was in. So that's pretty much, I had a chance to do it in 2015 when I was at GoPro, but I was comfortable. I mean, I pretty much had a cake gig. But I had a chance then. I regret it. And 2020 just put the pedal to the metal and just made the best opportunity to say, finally, just do it,
Nice. And so what has been like the biggest hurdle, like coming from that physical security world, getting into cyber, like where it was like, okay, like even if any other industry into cyber, right? It's like, what are some stuff that you took away that you learned from that experience? Like, oh, fuck, like if I was to start over today, I would have went this route instead of what I did. Is there like any lessons learned for those folks that are watching, maybe trying to get into cyber from a different industry?
Yeah. So to backtrack a little bit back on the first question, I used to do this as a kid, about mid 90s. So I used to do people's DirecTV and Dish Network cards. I used to boot and also do the pirate boxes back in the day. I was born in 1982. So those that know what those are, they know what I'm talking about. So I was always into this, did this on the side. I remember when it was Backtrack back in the day, was it R1, 2, 3 and all that.
Yep.
So I was always doing this and tinkering with this on the side. So I would say if you have a keen passion for doing that, and I'm just speaking on the offensive security side for it, go for it. Don't stop. The issue with me back then is I wasn't consistent. And ever since I got that thought in my head in 2019, consistency has always been the key. And not just in offensive security, but also in all aspects of cyber, you have to be consistent, because if you dip down and you're not ahead, you get comfortable, you're gonna go extinct. You got to be ahead of the trends and the curves. I mean, you got to be hungry for it. You can't have motivation. You got to have drive. And that's the best advice I could give to you.
Yeah. And that's super, super true, because I remember even going back from when I was a network engineer, system engineer, like I was always so hungry to learn. And that's why, I took so many certifications, did so much stuff, try to like shadow people and look up to those folks and be in a room with those folks that you want to be like. It sounds cheesy. And I remember I didn't have the opportunity to be in the room with this person, but I remember saying this, and I tell him this all the time because now he's a buddy. I'm like, yo, when I grow up, I want to be like Keith Barker. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I want to be like him. And it's like, now he always, messages like, dude, you know way more than me. I'm like, no, I don't say that. But it's just like when I was watching his training from like Cisco and VMware and Palo Alto, Checkpoint, all the stuff that he trains on, I'm like, I just want to follow this dude's footsteps. So that's what I'm saying that because having someone to look up to, even if you have some kind of communication with that person or not, just like, it's not a bad thing to be like, oh, I want to be like that person. Because if you say, I want to be that person, that's a little different. But I'm like, okay, like if I have the drive, if I want to learn malware analysis and I want to learn about malware, I'm like, oh, I want to be like John Hammond. right? Because John's really good with malware. Or if I want to be, like if I want to be physical security, I want to do like physical pen testing, maybe like, oh, I want to be like Paul, right? Like everyone has their niche of what they're really, really enjoying. And whatever you find your passion for, follow the footsteps and look into the community and look up to those folks. Or, that's always advice for me too, that I give, because everyone can learn something from each other, no matter what level you're at. So that's always, with me, like, just like we'll talk about certs in a few, but like getting into the world of cyber and having that community that back up to like hold you accountable. And I want to go off on this one last tangent, is like same thing with, with the comment yesterday on, I put something on LinkedIn about, I just went to, and I use ChatGPT for everything. I don't give a fuck, so I went on there. Yeah, I just, it's a tool. So it's like, oh, instead of like pushing a nail in the fucking wall, you're going to use a hammer, right? Is that like stupid? Are you going to use a hammer? Why are you going to work harder, not smarter? But anyhow, like I just want to bring this up is because I use this tool to leverage stuff for me. And I just posted something on LinkedIn and I got some feedback like, oh, use ChatGPT. Yeah, I did. I don't give a fuck. What are you going to do about it? Right. So,
yeah. So that's key, because I'll touch on that. Number one, there's haters everywhere. And number two, those are the people that are against AI and that are afraid and probably got comfortable, don't want to learn how to use it. So if you embrace it, again, that's part of being ahead of the trends and the curves, utilizing it to take away those manual tasks. So you could be doing other things with your time that are bringing you value, right? Instead of doing all this manual work, SOPs, all this, typing all this stuff, taking 4 to 6 hours a day. You can knock it out in less than a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like I use it to create run books. I created, I did it, so many things. And the point I want to make is like, say for an example, and then it got it, this is where I want to get to, like, and then it got to like, oh, you do training and you do coaching, whatever, anything else. Right. So the point of that is like, anyone can get anything for free. Right. We'll look at a workout app. I can say, okay, this is how you do a bench press. This is how you do curls. I can watch videos on arm wrestling, and I can, never learn how to arm wrestle until I do it. Right. So watching a video, watching Paul arm wrestle Sam, whoever that is, it's so different than if I say, hey, Paul, let's arm wrestle and actually show the techniques and do the different things to actually make it happen. So the point of that is like, you can get all the free advice and all that stuff, but if you go to the gym, you pay for someone to keep you accountable. You have that accountability. You have this coach, if you want to say, or a trainer or whatever, to hold you accountable for those actions. So you're not just like, oh, I want to go home and eat a fucking bowl of ice cream. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I want to go home and eat fucking, cottage cheese or, some kind of protein, so I stay fit versus be a fat bastard, So,
and that's one of the issues I bring up. Again, I don't do it disrespectful, but I call it how it is. This generation don't know economics, right? That's why we're in the situation that we're in. It's like I bring up in the tech industry, they're following these tech companies blindly, which I have a love-hate relationship, and I love the tech industry. But, they were behind things that didn't make sense. And hence, when all these layoffs and stuff came out, when they were printing funny money, again, thinking everything's for free, it has long-term consequences. And that's what happens, right? It's the same thing. You can't do things for free. It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. I always say the two best currencies in life is time and knowledge. And my time's worth money. So sorry.
Exactly.
If that offends anyone.
Exactly. No, I'm right there with you. And I was all about free. You know what I mean? Like I do stuff for Hack Smarter. I don't mind dedicating some of my time. And Tyler over there, I love the kid. He's doing great things. So for me, it was like in December last year, until December, like I would be like, hey, like, let's jump on a call. Someone reached out and said, hey, let's jump on a call. I'll fucking talk to someone. I like to talk. So I think a 10-minute conversation, like when we jump on, oh, let's jump on and do this real quick. And we end up fucking talking for 5 hours. Right. So it's like, now I just took 5 hours away from, something else, my family or whatever. And it's like, okay, now how can I get that time that you said paid for? all right, so maybe I can eliminate the people that, waste my time, just like on Hack Smarter. They're not paying for that. So I had a few calls. I came home from the gym. The other time I came home from hockey, and like they never showed up. So I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, so it's just like, after that, it's like, okay, they're just salty, just tasting your mouth. And I'm like, all right, I ain't with that shit, son. Like, if you're going to pay for that time that I had to like take out of my day, So,
yeah. And I would say too, like, for me, as far as I saw the question, time is your biggest asset. Why not try to save as much as possible? Which is true,
Yeah,
but also for me, I believe in giving back because I've done a lot of dumb, crazy shit. Never got caught, fortunately. I never did drugs or was into gangs, but I, ran from the cops, evading police, used to do street racing back in the day, ripped off shit. But did the DirecTV Dish Network stuff when I was a kid, making 2 G's a week cash, probably sometimes even more. But, if there were things I did in my career as younger, I got more than just a second chance. So and my thing, it's like, giving that back, whether it's giving someone a second chance in a job, if I get a job as a manager again, to give that chance or another opportunity, or also give back to learn and knowledge that something that they could do something better than I did or quicker. Right.
Exactly.
So I always believe in giving back somehow, some way. So
yeah,
that's how I look at it.
Same with me. You know what I mean? Like, I like to share my knowledge, and if there's anything that I can do, and it goes for both of us. We don't have to disclose what we share, but we always help each other, and we help whoever's in our little clique. And it's like, that's what it's all about. It's all about like helping your circle. And some people can call it whatever they wish whatever the fuck they want. But at the end of the day, like, keeping your circle small and having a tight niche, and just be around those people that really love you and respect what you're doing, that's where it's about. Like, and haters are gonna hate, man. It sucks. And
everywhere, I don't trip on it no more because I'm more of the old school, especially being from the Bay Area. How do you say it without going on a tangent? But like back when someone had an issue with me when I was younger, early 20s, I would come up, hey, did you say this? They get hit in the face. That's how I was younger. Nowadays I'm older. People call me the Bruce Banner Hulk because I'm calm. And the incident that I was in or part of that I got in the crosshair at DEF CON, I didn't hit back because I knew if I would have did something, someone would have got hurt and I would have been in jail. And I don't even like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unless someone's charging at me with the rhino with the knife, I ain't doing nothing.
Exactly. So. And I wish I can say the same, right? Like I wish I can say the same. Like, I think more of my way of living and my way of life pretty much is, we were probably raised similar, but different sides of the country. But like growing up, like, yeah, if you have some, you're going to phase, son. Like, throw your bones, you know what I mean? Like, so if anyone doesn't know what phasing means, it means fighting. Yeah. But yeah, and it's, especially now, it's just scary, right? Because everyone has guns. I have many guns, right? So it's like, especially in where I'm living, it's like everyone and their mother has a gun. So it's like, you can't, if you have a road rage or something, like, oh shit, like if you give the finger, like someone's going to come out fucking strapped and start shooting at your car. But it's crazy.
That's part of the physical security aspect, is seeing those things and trends, right? Being able to analyze someone or behaviors. So I'm glad I got that experience, especially at a young age. Actually, before you in my career, I was a bouncer. So I've always been, I don't know if you noticed when we hung out in Vegas, there were certain times where like when we went to, I wasn't myself. I was quiet because I've been around those, situations before.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. So it's not for teas today, it's for a pub sub. So pub subs are heroes, or sandwiches from a place called Publix. Thanks, Kev. You're the man. And gracias por todo, man. So enough with beating people up in the world. So we'll transition to like certifications and stuff like that I wanted to talk about. So, going from a few of your early on certs to the cert that you're, working on till today, like, what has been that progression, and why are you going for certifications? Are you going for certifications for more money, for your own like cool little plaque on the wall, for recognition? Like, what is your story? Like, what is it that you're doing, all the training and all the cool things that you're doing?
So for certs, I'm not a cert collector. I'm doing practical certs, so they're not multiple choice. I'm not a fan of memorizing stuff and getting paid for it because you have a pretty piece of paper. I actually want the ones you actually are practical for, or doing practical work, doing the actual exam. Number two is pretty much, I don't know what the future holds. No one knows what the future holds. The way the shift, especially with offset going, people might start making these even mandatory now, even though you have some of the best knowledge in the game. Not saying I do, but say someone, for instance, but now all of a sudden it's required to have certain certs or these type of certs if you want to go into these niches like offensive security, threat hunting, whatever. So that's I don't know what the future holds. So it's better to be ahead now, especially before these things change with the OSCP plus and all that stuff. Just get it knocked out now. And also the key one, third but not last, but it's also most key, is getting that knowledge and skill set. And now, especially most of them that I'm utilizing now, being able to just have it and keep on growing. And then while I'm maintaining that knowledge base, once I got the cert, utilizing that experience at work, but also being able to pick up new skills like malware development, coding, stuff like that, and being able to transition and then finally put the pieces together and utilizing both. So building my own, stuff for C2, stuff like that. So that's my goal. That's my end goal, is pretty much getting things completed, utilizing them, getting the experience, and then also learning new skills and then bringing them together at the end.
Sweet. So that's I think that connects the building blocks for a lot of folks, like having to, have understanding the fundamentals and the knowledge and the theory is good, but having that practical experience and putting those building blocks to play, it's a lot different than saying, okay, I got my, pen test plus. I don't want to say security plus, because I think security plus is good if you want to maybe go DOD. It's not good. You need it. But
it's required.
So yes, exactly. So from the certifications, if you want to list them from, like, I don't want to say easiest to hardest, but like, what would be someone, like, if you was to give advice to, for example, Kev Tech, right? He's getting, he was a help desk, he was system admin, he was doing all that. Now he's working in cybersecurity. If Kevin came to you and said, hey, Paul, you're the main man, I want to talk to you. What was your journey? What would you recommend? What certifications and the difficult level compared to PMPT to OSCP to CPT, whatever you want to talk about? Go ahead. What would be your...
Well, if you want really high stress and get frustrated, I'd say start off with the OSCP infrastructure and labs. But no, I would, in all honesty, not because I would say it's more beginner level, but the training gets straight to the T. That's the PNPT. Like what you said, right? We were studying together, us and two other buddies. So that was, literally straight to the T. You didn't even need to watch all the videos. Everything is like there. So I would do the PNPT. Obviously, OSCP right now is a standard. However, don't do the labs. I would just pay for I know not that many people have the money for it, but if you can get the CPTS pathway, that training is way better than the OSCP labs. And then 95% of it doesn't even have anything to do with the OSCP. It was just a waste. Their infrastructure sucked. Labs were, the VPN, it was just horrible. It was a nightmare. I would do that second, just because it's standardized. It's the standard cert. And then right now, currently, I'm doing the CPTS and CRTO right now. After that's the CBBH, and then the PJWT, and then the PNWT. Damn, all these acronyms and shit.
Yeah.
So that's my pathway. And then at the end, next year, I want to do the advanced one from Hack the Box.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be pretty dope. I will be starting my CBBH very soon. I don't want to announce when, because I want to make sure I start that, but it's going to be happening super, super soon. There's a few things that I'm brushing up on just to make sure I have my all my ducks in a row. And and I hear it's a lot easier than a CPTS. I don't know if I'm getting that advice from, or I got that advice, or I got that feedback from a few folks that are really good at web apps, and I'm,
yeah, I was about to say that because it is web app, so it's more different. However, the CPTS, was it 40-50% of the, or maybe even a little bit more of the pathway is in the CPTS pathway.
Yep, exactly. So in the CPTS, you have some web apps too. That's the beauty of that. Like they had web app, you have your internal, external. There's a lot.
That shit was hard. I mean, that is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
I didn't expect that. So
yeah,
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely good. So Jose asks, what do you think about the PJPT to start with? Yes. So the PJPT, Paul, did you take the PJPT or no?
I didn't know.
Okay, so I guess I'll answer this. So the PJPT, like I said, I love TCM, even though I got kicked out of their Discord. I don't know why, but yeah, but that's a whole nother. So like the PJPT, like Heath Adams, I love him. He's awesome. And for the PJPT, if you do Heath's Active Directory section and you set up the lab just exactly like he did, you can pass the next day. It's pretty much you learn that section and that's the exam. That's pretty much what it is. I don't want to give too much away because obviously I don't want to breach anything. But for the PJPT, it's especially for you, Jose, because I know Jose. I met him in person. He was in one of my workshops. You can definitely pass that with the experience that you got, right now from what I've seen. You could probably pass it today. But yeah, that's just my feedback. Obviously, and you have to write a report. So, and the cool thing that is about like the CCM certs, there are no CTFs, right? So that's how to get back into that routine. Like when I did the CPTS, it is you capture a flag and you catch a flag and you have to, document that and remember. So with the PMPT or PJPT, there's no flags. It's straight pen testing. So that is definitely better. I like that better because I don't have to worry about going to find the flag. And usually on CTFs, usually it's like in the home folder or on the desktop in Windows and whatever. But yeah, so that's that. Hopefully I answered your question, Jose. And you can always hit me up. I can give you some feedback on that.
Yeah, one quick thing on that. If you do one right after the other, like I did, OSCP to PMPT, that might give you a mind spadazzle. I don't want to say the F word, but just because you're like all super OSCP's all flag, PMPT's not. And also the 3 ones, meaning CPTS from Hack the Box, TCM, and OffSec, the reports are different. Just a FYI. I just found that out with the Hack the Box one. It's probably the craziest report. So yeah. The CPTS. So just be mindful of how you do your reports and read their reports on what they want and look for. For Hack the Box, I'm just speaking from the CPTS standpoint, but they're all 3 are different. And I had an issue with TCM. Again, it was my fault, but I heard from others that their reports were different and they didn't have that, but that's why I failed. So just a FYI.
I failed the first time for my CPTS because my report as well. So yeah, so the reports can be super, super important for these exams. So talking about reports, right? This is my feedback, right? This is my opinion. In the real world, reports are really like automated, right? Yes, like if you're working maybe for a smaller place and like for example, with Red Seer, doing some stuff with them, we do some manual stuff. Maybe if you're working for a bigger organization, you probably have something like PlexTrack or something like maybe PwnDocs or even SysRaptor that we use for the CPTS because they recommend that. So it's all automated, right? So like you just put your finding and it does all the fancy stuff for you. Or, this is the God honest truth too. I know some firms, all the juniors do the reporting, which
I heard that too.
Which obviously I don't think it's fair, but like they're the gophers, you know what I mean? That it is what it is. And I have two friends that love reporting. Like they love it. You know, they like that more than the technical stuff. I guess whatever toots your own, right? Whatever you like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I'm not, you know, I report because I have to. I'm not reporting because I like it. That's just the God honest truth. But so staying on search for a second.
I would say for reporting, know your audience is key, whether you're external or internal. Quick story. When I was at Box, I think she was the best CISO I've ever had. She was real knowledgeable. Most CISOs or execs just want straight high level to the point. She was so knowledgeable that, I mean, she would follow up on shit. She knew the technicalities on stuff, on everything. And back then, you know, this was me being part of physical security, running crisis management when we had all the riots and all that bullshit. She didn't have knowledge, but she would do her own research and she would pinpoint, follow up to the T. She knew her shit pretty much. So you're going to get executives that want that granular technical. I want it all. But for the most part, your executives are going to want high level. And then just think of it like two reports, right? High level, and then also your technical for the technical team, the app team, DevOps, or whatever they call it internally. So you're always going to have those two different types of reports.
Fair enough. So EJPT thoughts, is that a beginner level cert? I never took EJPT, so I can't really speak on that. So I would say, I can't really speak on that because I don't know. Like, is there? My thing is, if you're brand new, you have no certs. I would rather go for PJPT. The EJPT, I think there's questions from what I've heard. There's like questions to answer. Well, like it's pretty much like the from SecOps group. I did a few certifications from them. You have a question, and then you go do the task, and then you answer the question. So that's how I think the EJPT is. And there's no Active Directory. It's just like some low privilege user attacks, like clients. And I think server side attack. I don't even know. Like you have to look. I never took that, but I know a friend that did, and he said it was super easy, but I can't speak on that because I don't know. How do I connect Wi-Fi to Cali? I don't know if you're a troll or what, but
if you're using Alpha, watch David Bombals. He has everything listed out as far as the commands.
Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, because sometimes now I don't even know about these questions sometimes. I don't know if they're being a dick or not. But in GW, you're pivoting different. Okay, cool. So thank you, David. Appreciate that. So you're doing pivoting to different subnets. So you probably have to understand port forwarding and understand all that stuff, routing and some networking stuff. But so going into so as far as like conferences and stuff like that, so you've been to a few conferences. For those folks that are really trying to get into cyber, and you know, I know this episode is more about physical to cyber, but you know, if you're going to conferences, do you think it can be overwhelming for those folks that are new to the field, or like what am I trying to get at? So would you recommend like, okay, like go to a local B-side before you go to like Black Hat or DEF CON?
I would recommend that if there's no knowledge base at all, like zero, complete beginner, I would definitely recommend going local. It's smaller. You're not going to be able, when you get into Black Hat, it's just like, what the heck? Like all these lights, it just overtakes. You don't know where to start. You don't know where to look. You don't know what all these products are, the soft platforms, what have you, right? You don't even know where to begin. And not only that, it's going to be really costly. And then the training, you're not going to know what to do for those trainings, the briefing, stuff like that, where to go for. So I would definitely start local. Yeah,
me too. Like I went pretty local. Like I used to go to a lot of conferences like MSP Expo, IT Expos, and I went to one Cisco Live when I was doing some certifications from Cisco, and that was many moons ago. And I would go to like Microsoft events when I did a lot of Microsoft stuff. But as far as the cyber stuff, like I think going to those local B-sides or local events, like I went to one, this is where I got this cool shirt. I did a Hack the Flag CTF this weekend from extra hop, and I taught a workshop, which was pretty cool. So and yeah, going there, and it was, it's super intimate, small, and you get to talk to some folks, network with folks, and just get into a community with like-minded people. And it's definitely a good idea, especially if you're new, you're trying to get into the industry. Networking is super, super key. And
Yeah,
get that.
that's the kicker. Where I would say if you do a black hat RSA, outside of being in awe with everything that's going on, the networking there is by far the best.
Yeah.
However, I think you get more value going for networking at your local areas, especially if you're trying to get a foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in offensive security, I will say this: DEF CON is worth going to, especially if you have your niche. Payment Village, Red Team Village, Blue Team. That, and it's not going to be as party-ish as Black Hat is with all the happy hours and parties. You're going to actually go there to get hands-on learning with the CTFs, some of the trainings that they do. The biohacking and payment ones is the ones that I like, my favorites. So stuff like that. If you're in the offensive security realm, I would definitely recommend DEF CON to go to. Even though it's big, it has its niches where it breaks out, kind of. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Cool. So that's some good stuff. So, and as far as like working, so say for example, we want to get in, we'll pick on, if Kevin's still watching, we'll pick on Kevin, right? Since I know him, I know his background and all that stuff. So now we have someone that's a technical person, like maybe even Jose, like working in help desk and sysadmin and stuff. Now you want to get into the world of cyber. And what is the best way? Like my advice is always, everyone has their own path. So that's why I hate the question. But like, I would say, okay, like if you're working, why pick on me? So now I'm just gonna be like, hey, like you work in IT, now you can go ahead and, if you have a SOC locally in your organization, contact them, maybe you can shadow them or whatever, or just get into, like a a security engineer or whatever you want to do. What is your like recommendation getting into your foot in the door into cybersecurity?
Well, mine's probably different than most, but I'll touch on say like someone that's in help desk. I would say they already technically got their foot in the door because they're already working with those teams kind of hand in hand, especially doing the ticketing process or escalations. Mm-hmm. So they already got that portion covered, right? And they already know the person inside and out as far as working with them, right? They're going to know if they hustle, if they bust their ass, they're there, they show up.
Exactly.
They have the drive, they're attentive. So all that's going to come into play, especially, and it's cheaper to hire internally than externally.
Absolutely.
Since the person's already there. So that's already a big plus if you have all those attributes. Now, if you're coming in outside, networking's key. I would definitely do the networking. If you're good with a certain degree of people, there's a lot of books on that, on how to use the psychology piece. I would go that route. All the knowledge is out there. So, I mean, networking would definitely be key if you're coming in from one industry, going into another, especially if your job doesn't even have a cyber, or like you're coming out of high school, working at Home Depot, Costco, even though they do have their entities, but you're working at the actual stores. That's what I would do, is to start networking. Just start going out to these local, not even just like B-sides or whatever. They have networking opportunities within your downtown areas. So I would definitely take advantage of those.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely key, because we all want to do what we love to do. Like I always say that, like it sucks if there's some people that wake up every morning and hate what they do. We only have one life, so it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I love no matter what. And and that's what I try to live by. And I really truly believe that. So I wanted to ask about like CTFs. We did CTFs together. We did Hack the Box. We did some Pro Labs together. I don't think we ever got onto Try Hack Me together. I think most of our stuff was on Hack the Box. But so for those folks that are trying to get into it, and then we'll get into like CTS versus real pen testing and stuff like that. So what is your take on whatchamacallit, like CTFs? Like I just lost my train of thought. So like someone's new, CTFs, do you recommend them? I guess that's it. I totally lost my train.
I do, just because it gives you a different aspect, especially if you don't have the experience and you're learning. It gets you, and you don't have a certain mindset. So I always tell people, if you're a mechanic, whether you're an HVAC, actual auto mechanic, or even electrician, it's going to be easy for you to transition into offensive security. And I say that because you already have that mindset where you tinker, you think outside the box. You don't think normally, right? When you see a lamp, you don't just see, oh, it turns on, it has light. You see how it works, how it functions, kind of thing. So that's the kind of mindset you have to do. And I think the CTFs help you build that, especially if you're a beginner. Now, I know there's I think I heard you say it a couple of times where it's not reality or it's not real true, but it does. There's certain stuff like even the CPTS, like that threw me off, and it gets you to think a different way. So now you got that skill set where if you see something that might not be 100% identical, but I've seen that, I kind of know how it works in the back end, running that Python script or whatever tool to bypass whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You get that, and and you get that repetition. So muscle memory, it's there. So helps you build that mindset.
Yeah. And I won't deny it. I still vouch by that, like CTF versus real pen testing. I think where the CTFs are good is, like you said, get that mindset, get that muscle memory. But I think where the real world comes in, it's like, okay, you're not doing OSINT, you're not really doing reconnaissance on it, so that piece is always so it's like, I did 1,000 CTFs, but okay, you put them on an engagement, they'll be lost because they'll be looking for a fucking flag,
Yeah, that's true. So there are also people that, the hardcore CTFs, they also got to get brought back down to earth. But however, the OSINT and all that stuff does play in if you take it to the other level, which is the red teaming side.
Exactly.
So I think there's a misunderstanding with that, with pen testing and red teaming. People think they're together, but they're not. They're completely different.
Yeah. And thank you, Glenn. Hopefully you're okay, because I know it's going to be hitting up by you. I'm not going to mention where you're at, but good luck. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. And yeah, hopefully if anyone is on the west coast of Florida or wherever this thing is heading, hopefully you guys stay safe. Please don't evacuate if you had to. Don't be a macho man and fight this lady. She'll fuck you up. But cool. Yeah. So, you wanted to talk about, open mind and cyber, right?
Yeah.
You can go on with that, like being open-minded, and pretty much we go into like about 10 more minutes, and then we'll go into the chat and then answer it, because if we answer them as we go, we'll like lose the train of thought and lose the mojo. So we'll answer any questions. So if you have any questions, throw it in the chat and we'll get to it in about 10 minutes. And the Rangers are playing, so hopefully we get a hard stop at 8:00. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So as far as what I mean by open mind and cyber, right? When I first started, and our buddy, I'll leave his name out, but Jay could attest to this. Yeah. We had our first incident, and I never did incident response at all, dude. I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I was like, I did Splunk just for metrics and dashboards, but not to search for incidents, right? I'm like, shit, I was just hired for a pen tester. And so I'm like, I literally did not know what the hell to do. We had Sentinel-1 at the time. We don't have it anymore. Dark Trace, all the tools. I didn't know how to use anything. So, and I've only felt like that one time in my life. So what I mean by having an open mind in cyber is don't go in there, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, because you don't know what's going to happen, what's going to change. But think of it like this, as a red teamer, pen tester, whatever. Not only are you building your skill set, adding to your resume, but learning threat hunting and incident response is also at the end of the day going to help you be a better pen tester and red teamer. Knowing how these tools operate and function, knowing what incident response does, threat hunting, what they look for, their methodologies, that stuff's going to be better for you to understand, to be a better operator or pen tester.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, because I've done a lot. I've done on the offensive side. I've done on the defensive side, purple teaming, IR, forensics. Maybe I don't talk about a lot of stuff I do, but I've done, and I still do it. So it's definitely super, super critical having both sides, because then, for an example, if you're using like a tool, like you said, like maybe, I don't know, MDE, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, or CrowdStrike, or Cylance, or whatever EDR solution. Now you're like, okay, like if we create a payload, or we create some kind of binary, then we exploit it. How can we, put this into memory? And now how is the incident response, like how can we as an incident response put that in the IOC, or something like, that we're trying to look for, that in detecting it, now on the red team side, we're going to try to invade that. So it's like having both sides is definitely key. And yeah, I love both sides. I don't have one better than the other. I don't have one that I like better or I'm better at. I think I'm equally capable of doing both sides pretty well. And I think that comes from being like a network system admin engineer before I got into cyber, because I understood how the systems, interconnected and worked.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that's some good stuff.
And I'll say this too. If you have good colleagues or coworkers, learn from them. Jay, right? That dude knows all the commands from the back of I forgot. I didn't know what the dude. He knows so much. I learned so much from him.
I've learned some stuff.
Of physical security. And same thing with the other one, Dan the Man, Threat Hunter.
Yeah,
dude, that I learned. If it wasn't for those two, I'm not going to say I'm even an intermediate threat hunter, but I feel confident to deal with a CISO and a BISO at night when we do our shifts for incident response. I feel confident to manage an incident. But it's minimal, but still, having those two, take advantage of them, and also give back knowledge when you can to them as well. So that's one thing is key, is having a good team around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't, say anything about that. Like, there's so many times that I don't know it all, and I'll have like a question, and someone I'm working with, they're like, oh, like, hey, like, let's jump on a call and let's do this, because people know that maybe I do pen testing, or maybe I do this, but I'm trying to resolve this on the blue team side that I don't really, even though I just said like I'm probably 50-50, but there's some things like, okay, I'm not touching this tool every single day, or I haven't touched this tool in a while. And it's like, okay, like let's jump on a call. And I've always had that, knock on wood, and thank you for the beautiful teammates that I have out there that always been supportive, and with whatever I needed. And it's like definitely key. Be on a team. If you're not happy, for those folks out there, like, leave the place, because at the end of the day, you're just a number. If they don't like you, they're gonna let you go.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. I'll keep it at that. Like, just always wake up with a smile on your face and ready to go, versus like, oh fuck, now I got to get to this thing. So at the end of the day, you have to do what you got to do. So now we have about 15 minutes left. I guess we can go, unless you want to add anything else to that. Anything on your mind?
I'll add something else for people that are looking to transition, that think they have no skill set. I would say, especially coming from physical security facilities, workplace services, or real estate, whatever they branded it. They brand, depending on organizations, they brand it different. You have skill sets to transition into cyber, especially project management, program management, procurement, especially if you're a facilities manager, director, engineer. I would say the best way for you to get in, or even environmental health and safety, is get in through GRC, because you already work with compliance, auditing, all that stuff. So you already know that you already have the concepts and the frameworks built into your skill set. That would be an easy transition into you. Physical security, I would say project program management, because honestly, what lacks in cyber, from what I've seen, they utilize project and program managers and procurement teams outside of they don't really have that inside. It's rare you find it, right? They utilize other teams for that. So if you have that skill set, or sometimes they even hire third-party consultants, if you have that skill set, that's something you're bringing to the table that they could utilize without paying a third party. So that, and especially GRC is kicking off, and GRC is pretty big now. So having those is an easy transition in.
Yeah. And GRC is pretty, I met a few people last week at the conference, and there was two brand new people. One was in my workshop, and one was just like, they watched a video of mine. They're like, "Oh, are you Pat?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it was right like in Boca Raton, Florida. And I'm like, wow, like someone actually watched my video. But so they're like, "Oh, can you tell me more about GRC?" And I'm like, I'm the wrong guy, dude. Like, go to Simply Cyber or, Jacob Hill. I think Jacob Hill, yeah. And he, those are the GRC guys. Like, I'm not a GRC guy. And he's like, "Yeah, I really like policy. I like frameworks." I'm like, kudos to you. Take all the jobs, because not too many people like that stuff. But yeah, there's definitely, that's what it all boils down to. Like, know your niche. It's like, and find that niche. And that's why, like, I didn't, just like Jacob, he wanted to be a pen tester. He wanted to be a pen tester. He got his PMPT and whatever other certifications. And then like, he just got into like reverse engineering and Android hacking. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to do this. And that's what he got, good at. And now he's doing some other shit. But, like find what, just because you're working on something today doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to, how do you say, like, you may not know what you're really intrigued with until you come cross paths with that, and just like mine, like I hate to like go on with the arm wrestling, but that was another thing. Like, I didn't know that I had retard strength. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I never knew like how strong my arms really were until someone challenged me last year at DEF CON to an arm wrestling match. I'm like, I never really arm wrestled in my life. And when the kid's like, "Yeah, I want to go with all my might," I'm like, "Go." And he couldn't move my arm. I'm like, okay, I think I got something here. I never knew, Yeah. And look, you're a big dude. You're fucking huge, right? Like, you're bigger than me. But it's like, I'm not scrawny, but like, you have these big dudes that, they trying to, think they're going to ace you. And then they come to find out that, looks can be deceiving.
Yeah. But, and I would say too, to touch on that, that's where the open mind in cyber is, because I'm doing offensive security today, but shit might change, right? And I'm going to have that open mind, and also learning different tools and skill sets, because you never know, like I said, you never know what the future is going to bring. And I will say one thing: if you are in physical security, if I could give you some advice, because a lot of them, I put this in some of my videos on YouTube, they don't, especially back in my days, they do not like an offensive security red team mindset, because for whatever reason, law enforcement, military do not like that criminal mindset. However, I am ex-military as well. So for physical security, I didn't do spots and dots. I wanted to say, how the hell am I going to break into this fucking place? Yeah. And just take everything, just ransack everything without getting caught. So my advice to them is embrace that, take it. Don't waste $3.5 million on a Linnell or Milestone system. Have someone pen test it, and not only just your systems, but also your office managers, your receptionists, your guard forces. Because I could go on there with my drone or whatever, they probably got a guard on rotation, figure that out. And sky's the limit. So there's all kinds of, I would say that would be my advice, is to have someone break your system.
Yeah. And speaking about YouTube channel, obviously that'll be the last thing we can, throw your link in there so we can get you out there to get. So obviously we spoke offline, and I've been telling you and finally, I'm so happy that you did it. But for those folks that aren't familiar with your YouTube channel, why did you create a YouTube channel? What kind of content should people expect from you going forward, and some of the stuff that you put out there? And like what was Paul's journey about creating a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so honestly, a lot of people told me to do this at GoPro. And if I did it at GoPro, so for those people that don't know, I've mellowed out a lot. I do a couple cameo appearances. I was called the Hank Moody of physical security back then. So think of Hank Moody acting like that in the tech industry with execs and stuff like that, executive protection. That was me. And never got caught, never got in trouble. I drank a bottle of Patron in 30 minutes in the break room and was DJing sugar free for those that know, and never got busted. I got high fives from all the execs. So that's how I was back then. And so I wanted to do it because people are like, dude, you have all these experiences. You've been through a lot. You have knowledge. Like, you know how to maneuver, and, you just go for it. You just do it and you get it done. So I was like, shit, I'm better late than ever. So that's pretty much what happened. And people are like, dude, you have all kinds of different experiences in life that, people would pay for that shit. I'm like, I'll just do it for free. It was like all my videos. If people want to use my pictures, from all the GoPros and drones, I use it. I don't have to pay me nothing. So I was like, I'll just do it on YouTube. Why not? Shit.
Yep. So what kind of like content should people expect to, go to your channel?
I'm going to give some like real life experiences, some stuff to get into cybersecurity, stuff that I've not only done, but from other people, helping out different people in different sectors. Move into cyber. Also, I'm going to be doing some tutorials. I'm still going to get my camera set up. Hopefully I get everything set up, finalized before the week of Thanksgiving. And then, just pretty much on my path to, where I go in the future. I want to do I might do some lives, maybe, I don't know, if the future has it open, maybe some kind of podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to shoot the shit. So I'm open to that. But, yeah, right now it's going to be just mainly experiences, what I could help with, and then also some tutorial videos.
Cool. Yeah. And that's what I pretty much love. Like I really enjoy like watching raw, and I get that feedback a lot. Like maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. There's a lot smarter people than me, but I just keep it a buck all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's how I am.
And so I don't, on both sides, like actually talking like this and in my videos, and also like I don't really edit too much. Like if I say and if I'm like stuck and I'm looking at something trying to, I'll cut that so you don't look at me like, for a mute for 30 seconds. But like for the most part, like I get that feedback a lot. Like, oh, like I love that you're raw with it. You don't really make many cuts. I don't really make any cuts. Sometimes it's a straight shot, and it depends on how much time I have to edit, because editing is a whole nother beast. And I don't like to edit. So it's like, if I can do the minimal, I don't need it all fancy, flashy, and a whole bunch of shit happening. Like I just want to get the point across. But
I will say, I will always keep it honest. I'm not going to have a filter. I'm not going to wear a mask. I've always been the same since kindergarten. Like I told people, and I always tell people, not everyone's going to love you or like you. I'm not, that's not, I'm not here to have everyone like me or love me. So I'm just gonna be myself. You either love it or hate it. So that's it.
Yeah. And that's the same way I am, man. That's pretty much how I am. And I'm starting to realize, because I think I have the biggest heart. I love everyone. I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And since probably like this year, the first 3.5 years I did YouTube and content and all this shit, like I never got any weird shit happen until last year. And, I think I told you what happened with like the whole YouTube thing. And then at DEF CON, I confronted the kid. And so it's just like, hey man, just treat everyone with respect. That's all. Like if you don't get whacked in the mouth, because, you might cross paths with that person that you're talking shit to. And if something happens, that's on you, homie. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just be respectful and just be loving, and just, you never know where someone is, when they're going to, like I said, I had that story last year. I'm not going to repeat it, but yeah, just like be nice. Like don't be a dick. And that's my last advice. Treat everyone with respect, treat everyone how you want to be treated, and just keep learning. And however you learn, if you use ChatGPT, like the big fucking fuss yesterday, I use ChatGPT every day for 90% of everything. And respect is everything. And if you don't give it, you're not going to get it. So that's it. But yeah, any last words?
I don't have any last words. I would say, yeah, if you really have a passion to get into cyber, just go for it. Just, have a backup plan. Don't dump everything. Make sure your financial stuff's in order. But go for it. And then also don't look at don't be afraid of doing side gigs. Those opportunities, especially with small and medium businesses. I mean, they're looking to, they can't afford KPMG or PwC or anything like that. So there's opportunities. There's a lot of money to be made out here right now, especially with social media. So
exactly.
For those people complaining about it's hard, this and that, the victim mentality, I don't feel sorry for you because there's everyone's, there's a lot of people, especially kids that are doing it that are making millions. So why can't you do it?
Yeah.
So.
No, 1,000%. And that would be my last word. You know what I mean? Hustle, no matter what you do, however you make your cake, son, like you do you, and don't let anyone fuck with it. You know what I mean? Like I don't brag. I'm not the kind of person that brags about anything. Like I don't really even disclose, people probably knows, yeah, you do you, boo boo. You know what I mean? Like maybe I've disclosed I have some sneakers that are worth a few dollars, but like I don't talk about anything about me. You know what I mean? Or just infosec Pat that I'm a dummy that I do fucking YouTube videos, but a few, just a few dollars. But I do have a lot of sneakers, and it's funny because I'll be moving probably in about a month. So I'm going to actually, this is probably the last thing. And I'm probably going to have some of my sneakers on display. So nice. you'll see them. Some ones I don't wear, like my exclusives. And you need a U-Haul just for my shoes, probably. Yeah. So because I never been that type to like flaunt my shit and be out here trying to, I just like to just help people, man. That's what it's all about. I'm not trying to have no situation, but situation comes, I won't back down. That's for sure. But thank you everyone for showing up tonight. It was awesome. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Again, thank you, Kevin. I'll hit you up. I'll have to check my chat. And Glenn, if you're still on, thank you so much. I'll shoot you a message. Make sure you and your family are safe. And Jose, if you have any questions about anything certification wise, let me know and I'll be here for you. So, Paul, put your YouTube channel in the chat so we can, let's just finish it out with that. And Kevin. Oh, and this is funny. I'll be going to B-Side Orlando. When is that? The 19th. And me and my friend Nelson, I think we're going to do an arm wrestling table. So if you guys if you have B-Side Orlando and you want to arm wrestle, I think I want to do like a prize or something. I'm trying to figure that out with him. And so if you guys are down to arm wrestle and if you win, I'm thinking about like $100 or something like that. I'm 36-0. No one ever beat me. So
Did I put it in?
Awesome. Yep.
Oh, yeah,
so awesome. So please, if you guys are still on the chat, there's about 35 of you, it looks like. Go subscribe to Paul's channel. He's putting out some good shit. I watch probably all his videos because, I just like to support and just hear what he got to say about his experiences on what he's doing. Awesome, Glenn. Sweet. And looking forward to it.
One last thing, Pat.
Go for it.
Dude, you got to be a Sharks fan, dude. Come on.
No, the Rangers all day, son. The Rangers are playing right now. All right, before I let everyone go, let's see what the score is. And if they're losing, I'm never doing a Thursday if they're playing. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go back to my NHL app. The Rangers are winning 3-1. So fuck Boston. Shit. I hate Boston. So if you're from Boston,
or Penguins, I don't like them either.
Yeah, I don't. I respect Crosby's skill, but he's a bitch. Thanks, guys. Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks, Paul. And love you all. And thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time. Good night.